What's up, people? It's Chris Angel and Aaron Handy coming at you. Hello, Aaron.
Hey, 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 get down from there.
How many of you are ready to be mindful as a CEO to balance the tension of
Ah,
mindfulness and CEO-ness? I'm ready, Aaron.
are you ready? Are
I think
you
we should
ready,
dive in.
ready?
Let's jump in
Let's jump in.
the deep end.
All right, cool. Yeah, so we were, I think the conversation that we wanted to have this week is really about the utility of in order to, um, and the goodness.
Mm. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we
Set up the
just,
badness. Set up the opposite.
yeah, well, we've been really vilifying in order to, like the tyranny of in order to, and how it traps us
Uh-huh.
in, this hustle culture world of producing results where, I have to do this in order to get that, and there's a specific outcome that I'm going for, and everything is driven to produce a result. And, there's that world of, certainly in the CEO-ness of life, where if you aren't mindful,
Right.
then everything you're doing is about creating some future outcome, which inherently, not even implicitly, explicitly, although it's in the background.
Mm-hmm.
So is that implicit? I don't know. It's inherent for sure. That's a lot of different words in there, but it's,
Mm-hmm.
I can even use constitutive, but it's,
Whoo.
I know, I know.
I
Thank you.
mean,
I
wow.
know.
I
I
mean,
win the
that was a good
podcast.
flex. That was a good flex right there, man. Wow.
It's over.
Wow.
It's over.
Wow. Mic drop. Constitutive. Whew.
The show's over. We're
Sweating.
done.
Sweating over
I got
here.
it in there. You didn't think I could get it in that early, did you?
Oh, wow.
I didn't think you. I knew that. I knew that. So, but what's part of that is the current reality isn't it. There's a
Right.
future reality that is it. This isn't it. So I am going to do this in order to get that. And
Yeah.
the obvious problem with that is every time you get wherever there is, it's still not good enough because you are in a world in which the reality, I don't even like current reality, the reality
Yeah.
isn't it.
Right.
And there
Right.
needs to be something else that happens to have the reality be it.
And your experience of right now is one when that's the case that you can't enjoy this moment. The joy is not, for me, joy is not present. I'm stressed, anxious, striving,
Yeah.
tired, all
Yeah.
that.
You're not enough. I mean, we talked
Yeah.
last week about self-help, and
Mm.
if all your engagement with self-help is, if your engagement
Yeah.
with self-help lacks mindfulness,
Mm.
you're going to be doing it from the space of, this isn't it. There's something wrong with me.
Mm.
I got to get over there. And when I'm over there, that's going to be better than over here.
Yep.
Except every time I wind up over there, I'm not any better because there's got to be a new over there coming up. So that's
Yep.
all
Yep.
part and parcel of in order to. That just comes with in order to. If you're not mindful about it, you're
Yeah.
just trapped in
Yep.
this world where the future, I'm going to work now to have the future be better. And
Yeah. Yeah.
right.
Yep. Got it. So
And
we
so
were talking beforehand. Yeah. Go ahead.
that's the vilification of in
Yeah.
order
Right.
to.
Yep.
That's the world in which in order to is tyrannical. Um,
Yeah.
she was my favorite dinosaur.
Yeah.
Um, and then we were talking, then what we've been discovering. And Chris, why don't you share a little bit about what you discovered? Because that's really where this came from.
Yeah, I mean, I like the habit we have right now of every week just looking at what shows up in between our mastermind sessions. And this past week, I had some things to do. I was in motion, and I just created them casually, quickly, and they ended up getting a result. I created a meetup group. The meetup group had lots of organic engagement. People joined the meetup group. There was I couldn't have planned that. I don't know how many times in the past I've studied something and then posted something and then created a group somewhere in order to get all the people to show up. And in this case, I had to create it. I was on the fly to do it. I did it. And it wasn't I didn't do it from a place of in order to, and I didn't do it from a place of devotion. It was some space in between, and that's what kind of got you and I this morning talking about. There is something about there is a type of in order to that isn't stressful, but that creates the conditions for, right? So in order to, like, practicing baseball,
Right.
practicing guitar, you practice those things in order to not have to think about hitting the ball, playing the music, but you have to practice. You have to practice in order to get flowy.
Better at the thing. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so good. So yeah, I mean there is the opportunity to create a future that's not, that you're committed to. That's, you
Yeah.
want to call it better than now. I don't want to change the words just so that we have some other way to say it. You're going to be a piano player or a baseball player or do accomplish anything. There's a level of practice that needs to happen in the current reality,
Yeah.
over time, that creates the condition for something. Oh, that's interesting. All right, so so there's a future I'm committed to of being a baseball player.
Yep.
And if I'm stuck in the tyrannical aspect of in order to, I'm just sorting this out, right?
Yep. Yep.
Then I'm left driven, not present,
Mm-hmm.
at least having the experience of not there yet,
Yeah.
right? Maybe frustrated, disappointed, annoyed. Um,
Mhm.
because I'm doing this to get that. And that is being a baseball player. It's interesting, Chris, because I think there's also sort of in that mindless space, it's not just be a baseball player, right? Or let's not, there's some I can't tell where this comes from, but there's something superficial also, like I want the fame or I want the money or I want the, like, that would be inside the tyrannical relationship to, in order to, I want to get this specific outcome. And I think that's part of it, Chris. I think part of where in order to becomes
Mm.
overbearing or tyrannical or disempowering at any rate
There you
is
go. Yeah.
correlated to the specificity of the desired outcome.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
It needs to look like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, yeah, because that's where the attachment creates unhappiness from the Buddha, right?
Yes.
Like that all unhappiness comes from attachment to something, that
Yes.
specificity. Yeah,
Yeah. So I need it to look like this.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it needs to look like this by this time. The
Mm,
more specific I am about that,
mm, mm.
the need for it to happen, the more I'm trapped by in order to. But if I'm practicing baseball for the love of the game, because I'm committed to being a baseball player, and whatever that winds up looking like
Uh-huh.
is,
Yeah,
good with me.
yeah,
And it can happen when it happens, and I'm committed to giving my all to it now. This is the space of devotion that we're talking about. I'm
yeah,
still doing this. You could
yeah.
say I'm still doing this in order to become a baseball player. I'm practicing to get
Uh-huh.
better at being a baseball player. There's a future where I play baseball better than I do now, and I get
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah,
play on a major
yeah,
league team or whatever. So the goal is still there. And you could even have the goal of the fame and the money and the, you know, all the
yeah.
trappings,
Sure, sure.
the visualization of all that's going to happen. But in the current reality, I am
Hmm.
practicing baseballs, and the space, the difference is what we're talking about. Like, the difference is I'm creating this in the current, in the current reality. I am practicing baseball to create the conditions in which being a major league baseball player would show up,
Uh-huh.
which is different than I'm practicing in the current reality in order to be a be that baseball player. I don't know why those are different. Why are those different? Those are, I mean, for me, those are different, but I can't tell why yet. creating the conditions in which that can show up, and I'm open to the various ways that it could show up, or I am doing this now in order to become that specific thing.
Well, I mean, what shows up, the thought that just came to my head was that whole thing you talk about, territory versus the map.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like if my in order to is I'm following the map, then I get attached to the way it says I have to go, and I can't be with the territory.
Mm.
I don't know, it's going to take people to, or even take you out in the woo woo woods here, but I think that there is when you're related to the what you're actually doing, like what I'm actually doing
Mm-hmm.
when I'm doing things in order to is creating conditions. If I know that what I'm doing is creating conditions, I can be with what it is. But if I don't know that it's creating conditions, then I'm too attached to I followed the blueprint. I did exactly what you said. I did the formula and it didn't give me what I wanted. And so you don't have agency because you're trying to live someone else's formula rather than being present to the territory that you're walking down.
Yeah, you're also, that's certainly a possible outcome, right? I'm working your blueprint.
Yeah.
There's also the aspect of it where you said I'm living in the map, which
Yeah.
for me shows up like I'm no longer present in life.
Yeah.
Every all my attention is
Yep.
here
On the map.
on the map,
Right.
on the blueprint. None of
Yeah.
it is out here
Right.
with the people, with the things that make life joyful right now.
That's right. That's right.
With not like that. So really, you know, I think you go as far the other way. Like, okay, I'm not going to practice. I'm just going to sit and try and let this thing happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, in order to. Like we're talking about the utility of in order to.
Right. 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 Yeah.
See, there's a utility to this. Like I'm going. You can take in order to. I mean, you can take in order to too far. That's being trapped in the map. It's your blueprint. This is the map. This is the way. This is it. I've got to do this, then this, then this, then this. And I'm not at all available for the magic of life because I'm stuck here in doing it this particular way at this time. And I'm really not happy until that result happens. And if you're not happy, I mean, what does Esther say? You can't get where you want to go without feeling good along the way, right? That's our shining light. It's my shining light in life. It's like, you got to feel good now.
Uh-huh.
And there's a utility to in order to, like, okay, well, I do want to feel good now. And I'm committed to being a Major League Baseball player. I'm committed to doubling the size of my business. Okay, I'm committed to doubling the size of my business. Let's get it a little less
Yeah.
esoteric. Okay, I'm committed. I'm committed that my book is a bestseller. I'm committed that my book is a bestseller. That's a real thing for me.
Okay. Well done.
You know, on one hand, so the question comes up is, well, how do I know when I've taken an order too far? Like, I'm writing the book. I'm writing the book because it was in me to write.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying writing it. I'm enjoying putting it together. And there's a future in which it's a bestseller that makes me excited. And I'm excited now for every little step that I get to do it. And I think I really would be disappointed if it winds up not being a bestseller. Like if it winds up not getting any traction, if it doesn't work that way, if it doesn't work out. And so where is in order to like, you know, where is it useful and where is it not?
Yeah.
And I like how I can use is this action, whatever action, proofreading, hiring an editor, working on my book proposal, whatever action,
Yeah.
any of the myriad of actions, is that an action that creates the conditions for in which the future I'm committed to can show up?
Sure.
Is that an action that would create the conditions in which that future could show up? And if I use that as a filter or as a litmus test for the quality of the action.
Uh-huh.
I think it gives me something that I don't get if I am head down, driven, you know, needing to produce that result now.
Yeah.
I
I
don't know
think
about
there's
that.
I think
I don't
there's
know
a
quite about that part.
there's utility in order to, whether you're doing in order to from a place that feels mindful, or you're doing in order to from a place that feels stressful and exhausting, right? Like
Right.
for years I've been trying to double my, I always say, to use your example, double my business. I've been trying to grow my business to my huge, I have a huge vision for what I want.
Right.
And much of what I've been doing is in order to make that happen. And it's super stressful. It's not an empowering context that I'm doing in order to from.
Yeah.
And, and
Guys.
so well, I just want to say, so I've been doing a lot of things. And only recently, as I've been shifting my beingness about it,
Mm-hmm.
all of that preparation in order to that I've been doing, all of like baseball, guitar playing, scales, all the stuff I've been doing about landing pages, podcast production, how do you work Meetup, how do you do Facebook, all the things I've done in order to are now actually being super useful to me, that I have released my brain, that I have stopped trying to force it. All that preparation is coming forward now and being useful in a way that's flowy, not forcefully. Do you know what I mean?
Flowy.
Flowy,
Flowy. Yeah.
not
It's
not constitutive.
not unconstituted. Possible.
Did I don't know how to use it right,
You
but
didn't, but that's okay.
okay.
Um, uh, yeah, I was thinking that, okay, my book's a bestseller. I think there's a quality of the outcome that also shapes the utility of the methodology that you get there, in order to the space.
Uh-huh.
Like, is it really important that it's a bestseller, or is it important that it make the difference that I want it to make? And what's that difference? Like the start with why. The If the end result is whatever, 2 million in sales, I think you got to go back and ask, okay, why is that important? What's the difference that the 2 million would make? And if you
Well,
had it some other way, would
you
it be
could have it
solid?
as simply a marathon, 26.2 miles to run. You can have it as simply the boundaries you set up or the edges you set up for the game that you play.
Right.
2 million simply becomes, if it's like it's 2 million because I need that money, then that's a different experience than it's 2 million because that's a fun game to play.
Right.
It's the
Right.
same number.
Right. So maybe it's the level of attachment to which a level of attachment to the outcome that's
Sure.
that's also impacting the quality of the in order to.
Yeah.
Like if it's 2 million is the game that I'm playing, and it's arbitrary, and it would be cool, and it would be representative of, a sufficient number of people to have read it and have it made the difference with them,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then I'm acting on it. But I think, yeah, so I think the level of attachment that we have to the
Yeah.
outcome is more important, will determine the quality,
Yeah.
where the in order to is on the scale from useful to
Interesting. It,
villainous.
and could you have it be, could you have it be 2 million in sales for the rest of your life? Like, why does it have to be 2 million the day it launches? Like it just, like if you could get, I think sort of what we're talking about here in we didn't intend to talk about this, but what seems to keep showing up here is designing the game. How are you designing the game you're
Yeah.
playing? Because if you design it with attachment, it's going to be not fun. And if you design it with playfulness, then it is fun. And all your in order twos then are done from a playful, this is going to help me play the game, rather than oh, I'm stressed, and if I have to do this in order to that, and if that doesn't happen, this is bad, and then that's bad, and we.
Right. So it's not the in order to that's giving the tension or the
Mm,
overbearing, the domination, the drivenness. It's the
mm,
attachment to the
mm,
goal,
mhm,
and the attachment and the goal, the quality of the goal,
mm.
where the goal came from,
Yeah,
and the degree to which, let's just say, the attachment to it, the degree to
yeah,
which the space with which it was made. Again, start with why. Like,
mhm, yeah,
what's the big difference you're out to make in the world,
yeah,
and then are you willing to just continue to work to create the clearing in which that could show up, and are you willing to chip those stones to build that cathedral? Let's just go back to the cathedral.
yeah,
Really, if I'm building a cathedral, I'm still
yeah,
chipping stones in order to make the brick. Okay, I really am. I'm not chipping stones for any reason other than I'm building a cathedral, and the stone is necessary to be a part of that cathedral. I'm just doing the
yeah,
same action, but the future I've got is distinct.
yeah,
And so the quality of it doesn't, it's the same in order to, though. I mean, the in order to is not the issue.
yeah. Right. And as you're using the stonemason story, right? But like chipping stones, making building your cathedral versus like being a stonemason and having a job that's exhausting, like same actions, but both stonemasons grew up in that trade doing work in order to get good at the work. And the only difference is their relationship to the work now that they're older. They both had the same practice. They both had the same
Yes.
amount of time. They just had a different frame or paradigm or story about what they're doing.
Right.
It
Yeah.
feels
So,
important. I bring it up because it feels important to, like, we're talking about the utility of an order to. And so I think one of the things that's where we haven't fully said yet in this episode is like, there's whatever your relationship to an order to, fine, stressful, fine, flowy and easy, fine. But there's something that the utility of an order to is that when you let go and you're ready to have a jam session, you don't have to think about the map. You don't have to think about the scales. You don't have to think about hitting the ball. You're just present. And the only reason you can be effective in that flow is you've done all the work beforehand in order to. You've prepared yourself. There's been preparation.
well, I don't know that those are connected like that, Chris, for me. So if the stonemason practiced chipping stone for long enough to get skillful at it,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yep.
So there's that's sort of it's distinct from in order, that's the utility of practice. The
Uh-huh.
utility of practice is so that you don't have to think about it when you're doing the action. You practice in order to get good enough. That's one aspect of, it's one way that in order to shapes or has the potential to shape our lives, shape the quality of our lives. But I could be practicing in order to get my mom off my back. I could be, the way a kid practices piano.
Uh-huh.
I could be practicing in order to, again, I think it's a function of the quality of the future you've got for the thing that gives either the tyranny or the freedom of it. So that we're talking about the utility of an order to, but we could be talking about the freedom of an order to. Like, if you've really practiced, you have a sense of freedom now. So the freedom of in order to, as opposed to the tyranny of an order to, is a function of the future that you've got for yourself, for whatever outcome it is that the in order to applies to.
Yeah. Yeah, on one hand, we're talking about the experience of the in order to that we're doing, the work of, I'm in the middle of in order to, and how does that feel for me?
Right.
And I'm saying this last thing I said is really about after we've done some of that work, when we're like my observation this week was I was in motion doing stuff I wasn't even thinking about in order to, but because I'd done all I'd done online with online programs, platforms, et cetera, I was able to execute something really casually and easily without in order to, but I could not have done it that way if I hadn't done all the reps I've done over the course of time in the name of in order to. That was stressing me out. Like, so there's a relationship to how you do in order to. It could be tyranny or it could be utility.
Right.
And then there's what's available after you've done all that in order to, which is if you could, if
Well,
you
it's
could,
not that after you've done all that in order to. That's after you've practiced.
oh, I just don't see the difference. What's the difference?
Okay, good. So let's just talk about it. That's good. It's good. Let's talk about it. Maybe there isn't one. So for me, there's a difference. So there are things I could do in order to that have nothing to do with practice.
Okay.
I mean, I could, you know, I don't know, have a conversation. I could go do.
It's not repetitious. It's you did
Not
it one time in
repetitious.
order to
It's
something.
just I'm doing this in order to. I'm doing the dishes in order to get my wife off my back, or I'm doing the dishes in order to
Sure.
whatever, right? So it's not a
Okay. I get that.
practice, right?
Yep, I get that.
But practice is one of the places, one of the things that you do, practice, you do in order to get good at it,
Yeah.
right? Practice,
Yeah.
and really, I don't know that there really is. So in order to doesn't have to show up in practice, but sorry, there's other things that in order to shows up in other than practice.
Yeah. I get that.
Okay. And then practice always has an in order to involved in it.
Uh-huh.
Except, so there's the useful in order to in practice, or the empowering in order to in practice, and then there's the dominating bullshit version, right?
Right.
Of in order to that could show up in practice. There's two different ways, and I think that's a function of the future that you have
Yeah.
for the activity,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Would give which kind of in order to is there,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? I think that's what we're talking about.
No. Side note for you listening, like I think Aaron and I always have these conversations for your opportunity. I mean, it's our we're walking the purple crayon out here, but you have an opportunity to sort of think about like where does this show up for you? You know, this is a pretty squirrely episode. Like,
Well, we're really sorting something out in this one.
Yeah.
Like, do not have this one at all. This is
but
very
it's good because
squirmy.
I feel like as much as we've covered a lot of territory, and so those of you listening, like there's a lot of different inroads or access points to something that either triggers you emotionally, you're like, or gives you some insight about something. And so anyway, my invitation is to just keep looking at like what did it bring up for you, not because Aaron and Chris said something eloquent or succinct in this particular episode, but because I think we're working something out, like you said.
Yeah, rarely do we say anything succinctly, but this
No,
one, oh, please.
I disagree, but
Okay. Okay. Well, certainly not today. But that's one of the things that and I think just to build on what Chris said, because I think it's really, really, really useful, is, I mean, I'm assuming you're listening because you want to sort some stuff out for yourself. Like you're interested in sorting things out, thinking about things on a deeper level, not just doing things, but like, well, what's behind this? And is there a more empowering way to do this? And how can I hold this? And what does it mean to be mindful? And in this case, we've been and have talked about, I've written about, and it shows up really often, certainly our stance regarding hustle culture
yeah,
is obvious that, anything having to do with invalidating the current reality isn't useful.
yeah,
Any place where you don't allow or accept the current reality as the current reality, then it's counterproductive. So there's a level at which in order to has been vilified, and as by us, not by
us, yeah.
General culture loves in order to. General culture loves in order to. They would love for you to be constantly seeking something other than the current reality. It's the easiest way to get a customer is to have them think something's wrong with the current reality, and you got something to sell them. So everything in outside of our, much of outside life show fosters, nurtures, is interested and cultivates a world of not this, get that,
Mm, hmm.
not this, get that, and as a CEO, we're always creating a future that's bigger than the current reality.
Hmm.
So how do you discern between those two? The one that's a trap and the one that's a path to fulfillment. I think that's really what we're talking about.
Hmm.
Probably should have started there. Had we figured it out, we would have started there.
We can bring that tomorrow to the group.
Yeah,
Start
but
there
that's
tomorrow.
really, but that's what you get for thinking things through is you get to some space because there is a version of that that is common, it's ordinary, it's, the force field that we used to
Yeah.
talk about,
Hmm.
where you're trapped in this world. And then there's one in which you're creating something that's not here now and you're fulfilling on it. And in either event, the actions you take now would be in order to, or you would take in order to fulfill on that. So the problem's not in having things to, not doing things in order to get something new. The problem or the disempowering, the loss of power comes up when what you're doing in the current reality is in order to fix the current reality or fix yourself or get yourself better,
Hmm.
which is really fixing yourself because the current reality is fucked, versus I accept the current reality as the current reality and I'm committed to something happening newly and I'm going to do what it takes. In some of those cases, many of those cases, it takes repetition of taking the actions over and over and over. So I know that when the opportunity comes, I can perform, but I'm doing it because I've got this cathedral I'm building. I've got this future that I've created. I've got this thing that inspires me now
Yeah.
that I'm in the presence of in this moment that's giving me the opportunity to do this thing over and over and over and over again now.
Yeah.
It's still in order to.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you can call it by something else, but if you wanted to distinguish it as from the empowering versus the disempowering version, what was the
Right.
what was the thing you called it earlier? It wasn't in order to. It was um,
I was just thinking of tyranny versus utility, but
no. We had a different. You had said something about it. And I was like, yeah, we
hmm.
call it that, but really, it's just same thing, different name.
Hmm.
But the empowering one generally, I think, has the quality of creating the conditions for something to happen versus making something happen.
Hmm. Yeah. Right.
One is creating a condition in which something could arise, and that thing that arises is often shows up like magic.
Right.
It can be way bigger than I need it to look like this. The I
Right.
need it to look like this version rare does not account for magic happening. Won't be is not a clearing for magic happening. It's rarely going to be bigger
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
than whatever outcome it is you're trying to force.
Yeah, I'm hearing the juxtapose the tensions between there's like force fields versus cathedrals. There's forcing outcomes versus creating conditions. There are these
Mm-hmm.
right, and both are they're in response to the tyranny of in order to versus the utility of in order to. Like one way to relate to in order to is that this is helpful and creates conditions, and this is creates flow. And the other way to relate to it is like, oh God, I'm stressed. I got to force something, and I'm attached to an outcome, and so
Yeah, I mean, Michael Jordan take it, or any of the greats, Kobe, practicing for all the hours that they practiced was to
yeah,
create a condition for something,
right,
and it was in order to create a condition for something. And you could say it was in order to produce the result called championships. You could even, I mean, that's ultimately how they'd say it is. I did that in order to become the greatest. And the degree to which, they were never actually satisfied. On one hand, I mean, we look at, if you're at all into sports culture, hustle culture world looks up to that, like that, never
sure,
satisfied, never be satisfied,
huh?
you know?
It's so different. It's interesting because I feel like the very few, like a Kobe, But that was their cathedral. And then the rest of the world in sports or business look at that and go, oh, that's what we have to do. And so then they never get the relationship of a cathedral. Kobe had it like a cathedral. Yeah, I'm going to win championships, but this is my legacy. This is my work. This is what I'm here to do. And so it was a joy. It was a gift. It was a whatever. I'm going to do it because it's what I'm here to do. Everybody else looks at that and from the outside goes, oh, we have to do this in order to be like Kobe, not in order to build my own cathedral. In other words, people don't know what their own cathedral is. So their in order to is to get what somebody else has. I want to be like you. I want to have what they have. I want a boat, a jet, $1 million. So I have to do this in order to get what they have. That's interesting to me because I feel like a lot of people, if you knew what your cathedral was, your in order tos would have way more context. And if you don't know what your cathedrals are, then your in order tos feel really shallow. I like that.
It's really good. I think that's a whole separate. Yeah. That's 2 weeks from now. in the mastermind, that's. I wonder. When you said they're building their cathedral and it was a joy.
Yeah.
Was it? I don't know.
Well, I don't
know.
It was a devotion for sure. I don't know if it was like every moment was like, yay. I think they were pretty intense human beings, right? Like,
yeah.
But there was definitely a devotion that was a cathedral-like devotion. Like there was an ownership and an agency to the direction they were headed versus everybody else being like, I wish I were not me. I wish I were them and had what they had.
I think that's a really useful part of the deal. So when we look at, it's interesting, because there's those sports that are very accessible for me, that I look to: Brady, Jordan, Kobe.
Yeah. Yep.
Michael
Phelps. Because I know you're a huge swimming fan, right?
Big swimming fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but even, Mother Teresa, Gandhi.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
The degree to which, you got to, it really is, it really is in that future of, the clarity of the cathedral you're building. That gives the quality of the in order to.
Yeah.
Are you connected to a future that inspires you? Or are you connected to fixing what's wrong in the current reality? That's
interesting. Yeah.
You're starting with there's something wrong with this, which is the unmindful, automatic default way of operating.
Yeah.
This is fucked.
Yeah.
Versus I have a future that, moves me and I'm moved now in the current reality. And so I'm taking those actions.
I imagine you've coached a lot of people. I've coached a lot of people. I know it's pretty common when I ask people, what are your goals? What do you want? What's your vision? For people to not know. They're like, I don't know.
Yeah. In real estate, our big thing was always, and probably still is, 6 figures.
Right. But right. But I feel like in some ways that's the almost the gravitational pull answer. That's the obvious answer. Totally. That's not their actual answer.
That's right.
It's not their cathedral. That's what
That's right.
That's what everybody says. And so I say it too. Or the people say, what's your why? And you say, my family, which is not wrong.
Right.
It's just obvious. It's just, there's maybe more underneath that surface. So anyway, I'm saying it because I think in the absence of knowing what your cathedral is, what your true north is, or true east, knowing what your thing is, then you're only left with in order tos that feel less than inspiring. Oh, I have to make my calls for lead generation because I have to get to 6 figures. You're like, but that was never 6 figures, was never the cathedral anyway.
Right.
But you don't know what it is, and so you don't feel empowered by your in order tos. in order to doesn't have utility for you because you're not inspired by the place you're using the utility for or the in order to for. Right. There's no context. Context is decisive. There's no context here that's inspiring you. So your in order tos are not inspiring. Yeah, that's. I like that quite a bit, actually. That's 2 weeks out.
Okay, good. Yeah, I mean,
or next week, or whatever. We can do it whatever. But I feel like that's worth exploring. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll start where we start. All right, good. Well, we're gonna stop there before we get 3 weeks out.
And then I wanted to also share.
And then
there's another thought I wanted to. Oh God. Well, good job, gang. If you stuck with us this long, wow. Woo! I mean, well done. Wow, well done.
Yeah, well done.
You never know where the crayon's going to go. Right. Listen, if you want to join us in the 9-week program, Aaron hosts those. The next one's coming up September, right, Aaron?
Yeah, September 3rd is the next Living a Grateful Life in a Fucked Up World. If you're in real estate, you can get into Living a Grateful Life in a Fucked Up Industry. They're both free, 9 weeks long, meditation training.
Yeah.
We didn't even really touch on meditation today, but that's, for sure the access to all of this.
Yeah.
And yeah, so if you're interested, hit us up. thegratefulbreath.com is where you can find out about that, or the Realtor's Edge. Obviously, you figure it out. And we'll see you next week.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Aaron. Peace.